Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, brought to us by Nintendo and Rareware. The third and final Donkey Kong Country game for the Super Nintendo, and the last one we would see in the series for a very long time until Donkey Kong Country returns for the Nintendo Wii. There were the re-releases of all three games for the GBA, and of course Donkey Kong 64 along the way, but with a different name technically, even though it's, I guess, part of the same series, was a very different experience. So here we go with Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Nintendo. After a lot of debate and realizing there's almost no difference between them, I went ahead with the 103% run of the game. To do the 105% run, you have to play the game on the hardest difficulty, which you have to put a cheat code in order to access. The hardest difficulty has less DK barrels, but everything else remains the same as far as collectibles, locations, and all that. The final screen with the percentages of how much you complete it is slightly different with a different Cranky Kong on it, but the actual ending that you get to watch is identical. So in this game, you are playing as Dixie Kong as the main character. She is joined by her cousin Kiddy Kong. Kiddy Kong is not the most popular of the Kongs by any means, and definitely was my least favorite of the SNES Kong group. Kiddy is strong, he's kind of like Donkey Kong, but unfortunately, Kiddy Kong has the annoying ability to whine constantly when he ends up losing a life. That crying when you end up getting a life lost as Kiddy Kong was always exceptionally annoying to me, so I always try to lose a life as Dixie over him. But at the same time, also, anything with crying babies in the SNES were a big nuisance factor during those days. Just look at Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. The Banana Bird Caves are scattered all throughout the area in the game, and there's a variety of ways that we have to access them, most of which we can just kind of go up to them and access the cave entrance, in which case it'll kind of open up and give us this little bonus area where we play basically a game of siming using the face buttons on the SNES controller, pressing them in correspondence with what it does. It starts with a pretty small combo, but eventually, as you get to the final ones, they definitely add a lot of button presses that you have to quickly remember and make sure that you enter right. It changes up every single time you enter, so it is random for which ones you are going to have to enter, and I've made a ton of mistakes during the practicing of this game. To get this run of Donkey Kong Country 3, I have been practicing and playing the game on a regular basis for the last 6 months. To access the first bonus barrel of the game, we use Kiddy Kong on our shoulders and throw him up, and when he does come back down, it's a very heavy come back down, and that breaks open some areas, the floorboards in some places, and you'll be able to get into some bonus areas. What's really cool about the DK coins, or something I really liked about the DK coins, I'm sure there's some people that didn't like it, was the coin enemy that's introduced. In order to get the DK coin from Coin, you need to bash him from behind, since he's using that shield to protect himself. In order to grab this barrel, we're going to drop on down into the water below and then jump up into the bonus barrel to get the second one of the level. Most levels throughout the game only have 2 bonus rooms. There's a special couple of levels that do have 3, but for the most part, throughout most levels of the game, there's only the 2 bonus rooms to keep an eye out for. Like in DKC2, there's a few variety of bonus rooms you'll have to complete, such as collect all of the green bananas, one introduced slowly at a time, and they disappear after a few moments. There's some really tricky versions of this throughout the course of this game. There's also bash all the enemies, destroy every enemy on the screen in order to get that bonus coin. You'll also have ones where you have to dash through the area quickly enough while avoiding hazards in order to get through the end and eventually grab the coin. The animal buddies make a return in this game, but sadly Rambi the Rhino is not back, instead replaced by Ellie the Elephant. Ellie is not my favorite, mostly because she's scared of rats, and there's a lot of rat enemies in the game, and she'll run away from them. That even ends up being the gimmick of one of the levels we'll be doing in just a little bit. But what's cool about Ellie is that she's able to use her trunk to suck in water and then spray it at enemies. You even get a boss encounter that you get to use this for. For the next level, as you can tell, the main gimmick here is grabbing onto these poles, pulling it down. That'll open up the shutter nearby that we'll be able to then run through and continue on. Right here, we're going to use Kiddy or Dixie, whoever you can throw up. Dixie's easier to throw with Kiddy than Kiddy is with Dixie. But either grab a hold of that, dash on through that shutter before it ends up closing up and you can get to the next bonus room. Here we're going to quickly grab the 60 stars that are located here, grab as many as you want in the first room, then go over to the second room and grab all the ones there. The bonus coin appears in the first room, so honestly you go into the second room first and then come back to that one. The bonus coins always appear in the same places in each one of these bonus rooms, so sometimes knowing where they are can actually help you complete them quickly or within the allotted amount of time. Thankfully, they usually give you a decent amount of time to complete the bonus rooms, and even when you get down to the last couple of seconds, like 0, you have a good second or so on 0 before it officially fails you, so you do have some leniency in it, even if they are sometimes difficult. Here, use the barrel, you can shoot up in order to hit this, and then when you come out of it, I'm just going to float on over, making it easier than using the barrel to try to fire through the shutter. Over here, we're going to use this shutter to get to the second bonus barrel of the level. For this one, we need to find the coin. In order to do so, we're going to have to just kind of hover and shimmy our way across all of these, and then grab the coin quickly at the end, watching out for the buzzes. Another new aspect of Donkey Kong Country 3 are the Brothers Bear that you'll have to help out in a variety of ways throughout, which will end up getting you a lot of the banana birds throughout the game, but also the bear coins. You can spend these in a few places, but you need to get at least 60 of them in order to get the 103% ending. There's a general store located on the first island that we started on, and you can buy 2 items from that shop, the mirror and the seashell. The seashell's 10 and the mirror is 50, and both of these items are exchanged with other members of the Brothers Bear in order to get banana birds and entrances open for banana caves. I always like the coin in this level, pulling down the opening and then quickly throwing that barrel through the shutter, it quickly rolling and taking him out, and then we just drop straight down. You can grab a green balloon if you want and then finish up the level. Once that level is complete, we're going to drop into the water and then go over here to Smuggler's Cove, the secret area where another one of the banana birds is located. Like I said, it's a Simon Says type thing. They add more button presses as we make it farther in, making it, of course, a bit more difficult to complete. The island located in the center of the lake here in this stage is a location for one of the Brothers Bear, and he wants the seashell, but unfortunately we don't have the coins to get it yet. We'll come back in a bit to do that, but once we give him the seashell, he'll also give us the ability to get another one of those banana birds. At the beginning of this level, quickly throw one of the Kongs up and get up to that top little ledge so that you're able to grab the steel barrel and then throw it at the coin bouncing off the wall so you're able to grab the DK coin right away at the beginning of this level. One of my favorite parts about Kiddy Kong is his ability to skip on the water. You're able to bounce twice, but because of this you can get up into high areas and shortcut through some places. You could go and get on guard at the beginning of the level, but I just run through the enemy right there, sacrificing one of the Kongs just to be able to get through the bonus room quickly. And this one's pretty easy, just swim on through, watching out for the enemy here, and just grab all of the stars. Once back in the main level, you'll lose on guard regardless, so no real reason to go ahead and grab them other than trying to take out that one fish. If you only have one Kong, I guess you would do that, but you're going to get another DK barrel right after the bonus room. There will be a couple of times in the game I'm going to have to use Swanky's tent a bit in order to gather some extra bear coins, as I usually try to grab what ones I can get directly in my path, but I don't spend a whole lot of time going out of my way to get the bear coins. Thankfully, every time you grab one, you can repeat a level, or if you end up losing a life and grabbing another one, it does count, but if that's not happening a lot, you may not necessarily get all the opportunities to get all those coins. Use Kitty's skip ability. This is a great place to practice that and get used to it, because we will be needing it a bit later, so get used to that skill. Get up to this platform and get to the bonus room. Thankfully, it's a very easy one to complete with those enemies, and then we're able to continue on in the level. We have all of the items we need, so just rush on through the rest of it, watching out and avoiding a few of the extra enemies that get in our pathway. Each one of the areas of DKC3 are broken up into 5 levels, so it's kind of a nice uniform thing. 5 levels, 2 bonus levels in each of them, and the DK coin. Those only levels that have the 3 bonus rooms are in the special world, the lost world, the bonus world, so you don't have to worry about getting more than 2 bonus rooms in any of the regular stages. And that's really because the final level of Crematoa doesn't have any bonus rooms, since you use the bonus room coins in order to gain access to those final levels. For this bonus room, we're going to jump on top of the skidders or roll through them, dash through them using a spin. I like doing this a lot because you gain that extra boost of speed and usually works for most enemies rolling on through them. Past the halfway barrel, the rest barrel, we're going to grab this barrel and take out the coin here, a very easy one to take out. And just a little bit after that, you're going to come to a roof with 2 skidders on top of it. Once you do that, you're going to jump on top of that roof, bounce on the skidders if you want to, but grab that bonus barrel there for the second one of the level. For this one, it's just a few enemies, some knick-knack bugs, as well as the skidders going back and forth, so just bounce on their heads and quickly get to the end to grab that bonus coin. Just a little bit farther in the level, you can bounce off the knick-knack here to get a 1-up balloon for doing so. The same 1-up balloons that existed in the previous game, the red, green, and blue balloons, are present to give the Kongs those extra lives throughout the course of the game. The next stage is Murky Mill. Murky Mill is a dark level, and we're going to be using Ellie the Elephant throughout it. And on Ellie, if she ends up seeing a rat in the light, she gets scared, and she runs away. So this whole level is pretty much dealing with the rats either in the dark or just trying to make sure that they're not at least in the light when you pass by one of those lights. Some of them are pretty creative as far as figuring out how to get around the rats. A lot of times you can pick up barrels and use them to help you take out them. I do like the sneak enemies, the rat enemies. I do like their design, and they have some personality to them. I like the faces they make at Ellie during the later level to get her to start running automatically. Right by the rest barrel, we're going to pick up the steel barrel just to the right of it, and then come back to hit the green buzz. And this will allow you to open up the little hatch dropping down to a bonus room. For this one, pick up the barrels and then jump up into the air to take out each of the green buzzes as they spin around. Be careful not to jump into one of the green buzzes yourself, and grab the bonus coin. You should have plenty of time to do that. Back in the regular level, pick up that steel barrel and then use it to take out the sneak right there. You can pick up the next barrel, and then what you want to do is gently toss it over the coin, and then you can use Ellie's trunk to pull in the barrel, slowly inching it towards the coin, and just that little tap is enough to take out that coin, and we're able to grab the DK coin to continue on in this stage. Use the steel barrel here to throw over the red buzz, taking out the sneak right behind it. Carefully work your way dropping down here, watching out for the red buzzes as we go down. Pick up this barrel, and then you want to use this to kind of sneak past the jumping coil enemies and then take out the sneak at the end. If one of the sneaks gets too close to the light, you see right there Ellie dropped back for a second, but able to quickly recover and get going, considering. Gonna go over here to the left and use this automatic shooting barrel upwards, then pull the steel drum towards you, the steel barrel, which will take out the green buzz in the pit below, giving you access to the second bonus barrel. For this one, you have to jump in between the green buzzes. There's 2 sets of circling green buzzes. Not overly difficult, but you kind of gotta get used to Ellie's jump. After that, head over to the right, pick up this barrel, and use it to take out the sneaks. You may have to go back and pick up a second one to take out both of them, but if you time it right, you can kind of drop down on the one and take out the other one using the barrel. Wait for the 2 sneaks here to be out of the light, and you can quickly run through the last spotlight. You'll lose Ellie, but get a bear coin and be able to hit the exit. We're at the end of the first area, but before we go there, we're going to go to the Swanky Sideshow. Here there are 3 competitions. It costs 2 bear coins to enter, but you'll be rewarded with 4 bear coins for winning, as well as some bananas and the like. There are 3 types: head-to-head, race to 25, and endurance. All 3 are similar, but with race to 25, it's the first to get 25 points. Endurance, seeing how long you can keep going. Whoever misses first is the loser. And lastly, head-to-head, where you're trying to move a meter back and forth. Every time you hit it, you get a point, it goes towards you, but every time they hit it, it goes towards them. Whoever's able to get it to the top near their section first is the winner. I've always enjoyed this bonus game, though. The controls work pretty well. Move back and forth and you're able to fire out. You can easily kind of get used to where you need to be and the movement of your Kong. Both Kongs control the same as far as this bonus area is concerned. The quickest of these, I think, is head-to-head as far as being able to get the win. The race to 25 is probably the easiest, though of course it does take a little bit to get through. Endurance also can seemingly take forever if Cranky is on his game at that time and just seemingly hits target after target. Eventually, he will end up missing one finally, and when he finally does, we're able to get that victory and continue on. We're going to go to the boss encounter here of the first area. The first boss is Belcher, and this is one of my favorite fights in the game, and I practice it so many times to try to get it down to only throwing 2 bugs to complete it. Usually takes 3. Unlike a lot of bosses where you have to attack them in order to get rid of them, this time you have to throw bugs into Belcher's mouth in order to knock him back. Pretty easy fight, but Belcher can knock you into the pit on the far left if you take too long to knock him down. But if you time it right, you can bust a barrel right out of his mouth and quickly jump, throwing it right back into his, taking him out in only 2 throws. But more than likely, the average is at least the 3. As a kid, I was never able to time it exactly right to pull off the 2, so when I decided to do this play it through, I was determined to keep playing the first world until at least I finally got that fight done in 2. I kept resetting anytime I ended up failing that. 1000% unnecessary and made this video a lot harder than maybe it necessarily needed to be, but there's a lot throughout the course of this run that kept messing up and I made a million mistakes that is the reason it took so long to finally get this one complete. We're on to the second area of DKC3 now. Cremwood Forest has, you guessed it, forest-themed areas. The first one that we're doing here introduces the minky enemies that like to throw objects at you, throwing acorns in your direction. I think they're acorns. You have to use the rope and kind of get the barrels to protect you on a lot of them. Up here, you're going to see a TNT barrel just kind of hanging out, chilling by itself. Pick it up and use it to destroy the left wall, and once that's destroyed, head on through to the first bonus room of the stage. Be careful of the minkies throwing the acorns, get up to the top, and then drop on down to the very bottom, easily grabbing that bonus coin. Back on into the level, grab the rest barrel and start heading on up. Use the rope, but be very careful, minkies are there. You're going to use the barrel slowly heading upwards in order to also make that trek. Dixie moves a little bit quicker, seemingly, and is that bit smaller. I'm not sure, honestly, if the hitbox is smaller with Kitty. I've never really researched it enough. But at the same time, I always feel safer using Dixie on some of the tighter areas. Back up here, though, we're going to need to use Kitty and throw Dixie upwards, and this easily gets us to this branch. Once up here, use the steel barrel to destroy the coin hiding down in that little crevice. Then get back up and grab the TNT barrel, breaking open the tree and continuing on. No surprise, with more of large groups of the minky enemies throwing objects here. There's another TNT barrel hanging out, so guess what you're going to do with it? That's right, destroy that wall. Then when you get up here, make sure you have Dixie in the lead, and you're going to do the ponytail spin all the way across the right side here and get into the second bonus room for the stage. For this one, you have to avoid the minkies while grabbing green bananas. This is one of the tricky ones that we start off with in the game. Like I said, there's a lot of these that are difficult, where you're having to avoid a pretty dangerous hazard while slowly gathering whatever bananas. Thankfully, there's a nice kind of like rhythm to it all. All the minkies are synced up, so you kind of get into a nice groove of going back and forth up and down that rope. But eventually we get enough of them to get the bonus room, and thankfully right at the exit of the stage. Next up is one of my favorite levels, Riverside Race. This one is tricky to not only get the best time, but also all of the bonus rooms on the DK coin while still getting that best time. You need to beat the level in less than 1 minute and 15 seconds. I practiced this one a ton as well, as I was determined to get as low of a time as possible as a kid, and using Kiddy Kong, you can beat this level pretty quick. Using his skip ability, that's why I said master it early on in the game, you can use it greatly to your advantage to speed through this one. Thankfully, the bonus room, the time doesn't continue here, so you're able to go into the bonus room safely, complete it, and not have to worry about adding any extra time to the stage. Watch out for, of course, the enemy here in the center, and just grab the green bananas. The green cocoa fish just kind of stares at you back and forth as you make your way. Just be careful when you make little jumps out of the water like I like to do, that you don't accidentally land on top of the green cocoa. Now back in here, we're going to use the roll and quickly land on this platform. As you can see, you're being attacked by bugs behind you, and that's what you have to kind of avoid. There's only one spot really where they become more of a nuisance, and that's the very end where we're going to have to kind of dodge them and then double back in order to get up to the DK coin. Use the roll whenever you can to go through the enemies. That extra boost of speed is very useful in this one. For this spot, we're going to use Kiddy Kong to do the skip, but then when he gets hit on that second red buzz, use the rest of the momentum that you get using Dixie to get to the platform and the second bonus room. Then use Dixie here. Don't worry, we'll be able to get Kiddy Kong back in just a moment, so sacrificing him to get this bonus room is actually pretty useful. Once we have Kiddy Kong back, make sure that he is in the lead. Switching in the water takes less time, so keep that in mind. With Kiddy Kong at the end here, we're going to run to the right, then jump over using the hill to get over the bugs, and then do the big skip to get up here and quickly grab a hold of the steel barrel and take out the coin. If you do this fast enough along with the roll on the final sneaks of the level, you can just barely get the time under the 1:15 so that you get the new record. Now what that does is the brother bear in this area gets mad that you broke his record and thus throws a temper tantrum, opening up the ability to get to one of the banana bird caves. Now for the next level, you're going to have the ability to use the steel barrels to take out the sneaks located in the running wheels. Certain doors need multiple sneaks to be taken out in order for those shutters to open up. A lot of times you're going to have to deal with buzzes and such to use the steel drums in the right spots so that you're able to take out the sneaks. Keep in mind you can jump on the sneak wheels whether they're in it or not, and you can use that to kind of help you get through some of the areas. Over here, take out the one inside here if you want, and then jump on top of the wheel and over to the left to get to that first bonus room. In this one, you have to jump between the two wheels with snakes in them and just snatch up all of the stars and then continue on through that stage. Go up the rope right here, and at the top of it, you'll see another sneak to the left. Just quickly pick up the barrel, and you can throw it pretty far over there. Now for the next one, you'll notice there's a couple of them, and you only take away a little bit of the meter when you take out a sneak. Climb up the two wheels to the top, though, here, instead of going to the right, and you'll find the second bonus room. This one's pretty much identical to the one we just did, except instead of collecting all the stars, you're grabbing all the green bananas. Pretty easy, and once you do so, we just have to worry about finding that coin before we get to the end of the level. Once back in the level, pick up the steel barrel here. Throw it at the sneak over to the right side, making sure that you get it between the red buzzes. You'll notice, of course, that the meter is still slowly filling up. Before going to the right here, jump on top of the wheel with the two green buzzes going around it. Then use the steel barrel to take out coin. From here on, just keep on continuing through the level, use the barrels to take out the sneak. I actually don't pick up the one barrel usually. I instead go a little bit farther past and pick up the next one. It's just easier to get around those red buzzes. Then pick up the same one you just used before. We're going to use that to throw up into the air and hit the red buzz. Then taking out the one above the moving platform. After taking out the one on the far left, take out this one again with the two red buzzes going around it. Sometimes it can be a little difficult to hit it. Finally, though, we have the last one with another set of red buzzes going around it, and then drop on down through the floor multiple times. You'll arrive at the basement level, and here we're going to go ahead and grab a hold of Perry, the banana bird here, or whatever, and use him to fly through this string of bananas. If you're able to keep him alive, you're rewarded with a blue balloon that will give you 3 extra lives. I always like the color scheme of the next level, the more reddish forest thing with the darker green going on in the background. The overall set design is pretty similar to the level we already dealt with, but I do like the colors used here. Donkey Kong Country 3 was released pretty late in the Super Nintendo's life. In fact, there's an N64 located in Wrinkly's save cave within the game, so you know where Nintendo's priorities already were lying. Because of that, I feel like a lot of people didn't necessarily play this one at first, as well as I've always noticed that there hasn't really been as many fans of this one compared to the classic DKC-1 and the near masterpiece DKC-2. Grab the Squawk's barrel and then use them to fly on up and get to the first of the bonus rooms. You can technically move around the level a bit more, go up to where that green buzz was above the bonus room and take him out and then drop on down, but it's easier of course and more fun to use Squawks here. This bonus room though isn't too fun, as you have to fly around the red buzz at the top and gather the green bananas as they appear. Another part of the game that a lot of people I don't think like as much is the soundtrack. While the composer for the previous two games, David Wise, was involved, he didn't compose the majority of the soundtracks in DKC3. Most of the tracks were composed by Evelyn Novakovic, and I admit that even I am not as big of a fan of this soundtrack as compared to the other two DKC games. However, when the GBA remake of the game came out, there was a new part of the soundtrack created by David Wise, and that's what was used in that version, which is a little bit different than this one. The only reason I can find for the exclusion of her version of the soundtrack in DKC3 for GBA is that there just wasn't enough space to include both, so they went ahead with the new stuff by David Wise. And while the GBA's sound wasn't nearly as good as the SNES, I do recommend going and checking out that version of the soundtrack if you never have before. I like taking out the coin using the barrel here, kind of throwing it right through that little opening just enough that you're able to kind of get it to go and take him out. Just be careful going to the next part of the level, just a few springs to use and a couple of enemies, nothing too really difficult to get in your way. At the top here, you're going to go across over to the right, and once you do so, that's the location of the next bonus room. Just drop on down the opening to the right of this spider. Here we need to collect 30 stars, pretty easy to do. You're going to use the spider to kind of help you up. Then drop on down the right here and grab the stars as you do so. You can also use Dixie to help you out a little bit to grab the extra ones in case you don't feel like falling again, as you do have, of course, that limited time limit. Once back in the level, use the spiders to keep springing up. Just be careful you don't get off of them too early and run to the red buzz, but that is the end of the stage. From here, we're going to stop by Brashs Cabin. Brashs is the guy that we just broke his record a bit ago, and Brashs is not very happy about it, slamming his fist on the desk. And this will allow us now to go into the next Banana Bird Cave. But before we're able to access that, which is located to the south of the next level, you can kind of see that little creek, the little opening there, and this log moves down and fills in that spot. I always liked those little touches to the overworld that is done in some classic platformers. One of the first ones that really comes to mind is Super Mario World, for example. Once you complete the special world, it completely kind of changes the overworld. But also little things like the castles collapsing or breaking, or Bowser's world coming up from the water below was always something that stuck with me as a memorable gaming moment. The next level isn't as memorable, as I have to use Ellie in this, and I'm just not as big a fan of Ellie as compared to Rambi the Rhino, so I was always a bit disappointed using her. You're going to use the ability, though, to just take in that water and then take out the bird above so you can destroy the enemy below, giving you access to the first of the bonus rooms in the stage. Once back in the level, we're going to pick up some water so that we have a full trunk, or at least mostly a full trunk. Bring the TNT barrel close to you, and then do it again to take out both red buzzes located here. Here, you gotta wait a moment for the red buzzes to be up, then grab the steel barrel and go to the right just a few steps and throw it against the wall in order to grab the DK coin. Drop in the water quickly and jump out of it. You can use the barrel if you need to get an extra platform, but usually it's pretty easy to kind of get out quickly before the fish in the water below ends up grabbing a hold of you. When you make it over here, run into the wall just enough that you can see the two knickknacks get in place, and then bounce on top of them and drop into the lake in the center of it, and you'll have enough momentum from the fall to boost you down enough to get to the bonus barrel. Once here, grab the stars. Pretty easy, but you just gotta be careful you don't accidentally fall in the water and get hit by the fish, and grab the coin for the stage. In here, use your trunk to take out the bird above, which will drop a steel barrel into the water, and you can use that as a platform. Grab the barrel here if you want, but you can just actually bypass both buzzes by just jumping at the right wall. Before we head to the boss, though, we're going to go across this log just below the level we just completed, and this will open up that banana bird cave. Just complete the Simon Says thing here and get that one. The next boss, which is a giant spider enemy that you have to grab barrels and then hit the underside of them. At first it's pretty easy, but after delivering a hit, he starts spitting out projectiles, and these projectiles can be a bit annoying to dodge. Unfortunately, I end up taking damage and lose Kitty, and once you've lost one of your Kongs in this fight, you gotta be extra cautious, of course, to complete it. Dodging in between the firing of the green bouncing projectiles can sometimes be a little bit difficult. Just kind of keep an eye and look out for the right spots. The hardest part of it, honestly, is keeping a hold of the barrel. One good thing is you can put barrels down if you want to. You just have to gently put them down. Sometimes you're going to have to do that later in the game, so keep that in mind. But you can, if you time it right, dodge around the green things, even holding the barrel with Dixie's ponytail. Hit him for the fourth and final time, and we've completed this one, and we're moving on to the next area. What I really like about the world map here is getting to go around and just kind of explore it a bit and get the different vehicles. We get a patch for completing the last boss, so we can go back to Funky, and Funky gives us the hovercraft. The hovercraft will allow us to get over some rock formations and such, and because of that, we're going to go back over to the left to where we started the game and go to the Kong Cave, the next one of the banana bird ones, and free this one. There's another waterfall just to the left that we can kind of go up and get to the next one, but we don't have enough speed with the hovercraft. We have to wait till we get the next vehicle to do that. So, well, let's go ahead and start doing that. The next two areas of the world map you can complete in whichever order you want to. Mechanos here are going over the Cotton Top Cove on the left side. Cotton Top Cove, I think, is technically the next world, like World 3, but I like to usually complete Mechanos next. This is one of my least favorite areas. I've never really been a big fan of industrial-themed areas in platform games, but I do like the carbine enemy. There's owl enemies in the background firing the cannons. I always thought were a pretty cool enemy to deal with. With them constantly firing from the background all throughout the stage, you can get used to the timing, but even then, if I'm speeding through, sometimes I accidentally still end up getting hit by the occasional one. Up at the top here, use the moving platform to get over to the right so that you can climb up to the platform above and get to the rest barrel. Thankfully, right after that, we can get Dixie back. Drop on down, but be careful. We're going to use Dixie on this platform here and then use her ponytail over to the left. Watch out for the carbine fire as you do so, but that nice float and doing it from the other platform, the one that we did it from, avoid some of the pathway in the direct line of sight of the enemy. For this bonus room, we get to be Squitter for just a little bit, use his web throwing ability to take out the enemies. You shouldn't have to make any web platforms. We'll get to do plenty of that, though, later on in the game. Once all the green buzzes are taken care of, grab that bonus coin back in the level. We're going to drop down immediately, lose Squitter, but at least we get rewarded with a shiny bear coin. Over to the right side, jump onto this platform. It'll slowly rise up. You just have to move back and forth, left and right, watching out for the 2 carbines firing from the background. Now, when you make it up here, you'll see a platform just above you. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a single banana also through it. You want to throw Dixie up there, land on the platform, and use that to get up to the top and get to the next of the bonus rooms. For this one, it's another one of those collect the green bananas, and as you probably could have guessed it, you're jumping in between 2 carbines consistently, firing and gathering 15 green bananas for that wonderful bonus coin. Once back in the level, head on over to the left, use the platform, it'll sink a little bit if you need it, or you can just kind of do a nice little roll over to the left. Now when you make it to the top here, be sure to go to the upper right first, grabbing the barrel and taking out coin in order to get the DK coin. Be careful, unlike me, and don't run into that first carbine firing out. There's a series of them throughout in different patterns that you'll have to go deal with to the left and then deal with again while going to the right on the rope. Jump in between all the carbines firing here, the last set of them. They're alternating shots, but you kind of just got to get used to where you're actually hit for the fireballs that they're launching out, because they only hurt you at like a certain point during, of course, that firing, as they have that nice effect of going all the way through. They did a really cool job of giving you that sense of distance in the stage using that enemy. The next level is a pretty fun one here. You're going to have to jump into this vehicle and it just automatically keeps going, and you need to time your jumps correctly in order to get around everything and not accidentally lose one of your Kongs. Stay on the bar here or jump on top of the green buzz to bounce off it, but either way make sure that you hit this bonus barrel that's hidden. And here be careful and make sure you take out each one of the knickknacks as you rush on through. If you're able to hit them all, you'll be rewarded with the coin. Once back in the level, you'll be dropped into this toboggan automatically. As you continue on over to the right, you can grab the O underneath a green buzz here if you want. Just past that, though, is a knick-knack as well as one of those checkpoint barrels. It can be pretty tricky dodging and jumping in between some of the green buzzes, and as well as the really short jumps that you have to do a lot of times to get over some of the hazards in this one. After this very tricky jump here, make sure that you stay on the bottom part. Jump over the knick-knack, make sure you don't land on it so you hit the bar. You want to go through this little pit here, and this will get you to the second of the bonus rooms. Pretty easy. You do have to jump on top of a couple of green buzzes, but you can just follow the string of stars straight to the end. We're almost near the end of this stage, though. Just a few more hazards and jumps to make before we reach the end barrel. Once you get blasted up from the end barrel, make sure you grab the steel barrel to the right and then take it over to the left and throw it against the wall to take out the coin, and we can finish up this level. The next level is Rip Saul Rage. There's a giant Saul. Somehow, I don't know where it's coming from, but there is a giant Saul working its way up, slowly cutting everything in its path. These are extremely giant trees that we're dealing with here, and apparently this Saul does not like them. Either way, of course, that's going to hurt you if you end up landing on it, so you always have to keep one step ahead and moving towards the top. You can only move so quickly, though, because you want to make sure that you don't accidentally run into any hazards, such as sneaks or buzzes, as you do make your way up here. We actually go a fair amount into this level before we make it to the first bonus room of it. Underneath this barrel here, you can grab a bear coin and then use the barrel that's there to take out the green buzz to make it to that first of the bonus rooms. In here, just be careful, you gotta quickly jump up. It's just like the regular level, but of course, if you hit the Saul here, at least all you do is lose your opportunity at the coin and you can try again. With the slow-moving nature of the level, as long as you just kind of take your time and make sure you don't jump up too quickly into an enemy, it's not too bad of a stage to get through. Finally, we hit that checkpoint marker, and at least if we end up losing our Kongs, we continue from there. The slow pace of this stage makes it one of my least favorite while playing the game. It's just not that interesting even with the cool Saul at the bottom. Thankfully, as long as you don't jump too quickly on a platform, you should have no problem being able to easily navigate this one. The second bonus room is pretty far in. You'll come to a steel barrel sitting on a platform, and we'll use that to take out the buzz just above us. Going back across the jumps here, grab it, and then take out that buzz for the second bonus barrel. For this one, you gotta collect the 15 green bananas. You'll get the invincibility barrel to help you out, and just all you gotta do is focus on grabbing them. As long as you're able to get the bananas within the time limit, you won't run out of invincibility doing this, so don't worry about that. Just focus on grabbing all of them. Thankfully, we're almost near the end of the level here. When we make it to this room on the right here, you can see that lone banana at the bottom. You want to grab that. That will launch you up into this automatic firing barrel. This is going to give you an invincibility barrel that will allow you to get up here and grab this steel barrel, and thus help you get coin located here. Bounce it off the wall by jumping on the top branch, and that way you can easily grab the coin and finish up this one. The next level is Blazing Bazookas, and the bazooka enemy is one of these Kremlins that consistently keeps firing out barrels from his bazooka. There's a couple of types of barrels he can fire out, and sometimes we'll have to actually manipulate it using switches through the game in order to change it up. A lot of them, though, are just going to fire up the straight wooden barrels that we'll have to bounce on in order to get across. Here you'll notice a no squitter sign, but we haven't had a chance to get squitter yet. Instead, we want to work our way over to the left and destroy this bazooka, then grab the squitter. Once you have squitter in your possession, head back just a little bit and use the web platforms that you're able to make in order to get to the top here and make it to the first of the bonus rooms. Just be sure to keep firing out your web to take out the TNT barrels that the bazooka up here is firing at you. For this bonus room, all you need to do is make your way over to the right. You don't have to take out all of the green buzzes. Just get over the giant vats of acid and hit that bonus coin. Once back in the level, use the automatic firing barrel to get up here, and then what you want to do is make your way over to the left using the web platforms. Then hit the switch to turn them into steel barrels instead of the wooden ones, and then get above coin so that he's trying to block you using his shield like always, and you'll easily be able to snatch up that coin and drop on back down using the barrel again to blast your way all the way to the top this time around. Try to be careful of the bazooka here, and you'll lose squitter just a few moments later. Be very cautious on this rope because the TNT barrel's consistently firing at you, and you don't want to accidentally move too quickly off of this barrel or you'll fire yourself into a TNT. Once you drop down here, thankfully we're able to get Dixie back, so you find that BK barrel. We're going to keep heading up and blasting a few times, just time it right so you don't accidentally end up getting hit. We do need to make our way over to the left though, so we're going to use Dixie to make this far easier. You can use Kitty a little bit, I think, to help, but it's pretty difficult to do. Either way, get over to that left side and get into this bonus room. Once here, we're going to bounce on the barrels that Bazooka is firing out to get onto the top platform and grab the bonus coin. The last part of the level here, you have to be very careful getting in between the two TNT barrels. Just quickly move over to the rope and you can jump up into this barrel. And then once again, watch out for a couple of more TNT barrels coming your way before the flag. The next level is Logie Labyrinth, and as you can guess, that means low gravity here, as you can jump to the moon and back. Basically, because of this extra jump, of course, you're going to need to time it right so that you don't accidentally run into hazards this way. There's plenty of buzzes and such that are going to be moving quickly around. You'll have to time these jumps, and you can do long, arching jumps and very slow descents in order to kind of manipulate your way around the various enemies. Down here, drop on over to the left side and then follow the path around. You'll just be jumping in between a whole lot of red buzzes during the course of this area. Slowly fall down this area, dodging the green circling buzzes. You want to make sure that you have both Kongs, because you need them both. Switching over to Kitty, we're going to jump up and launch Dixie up into the air in this small little opening, and that'll get us to the next bonus room. Simple but effective bonus room. Collect 80 stars using the low G to help you out and bouncing all around the room. After leaving the bonus room, we jump into this barrel to become Quawks, the parrot. Not Squawks, his cousin Quawks, that unfortunately cannot fire out any sort of projectile, but can at least grab on the barrels that you can use to take out the green buzzes as you slowly descend through the corridor. Move slowly up this corridor, go over to where the N is on the left so that you can avoid the green buzzes that are going to come on down. Go past them and continue upwards, and you're going to see a green buzz on the top and on the bottom. Go through the opening on the top and pick up the TNT barrel. Once you have it, take it to the bottom green buzz, taking him out so you can get through safely and make it to the next bonus room. For this Bash the Baddies one, we get to be Squawks the Parrot and able to fire out the giant eggs out of his mouth in order to take out all of the green buzzes throughout this little bonus room. As long as you don't go too fast and accidentally run into any of the green buzzes, this is a pretty easy one to get through. After leaving the bonus room, you automatically go back to being Quawks the Parrot, unfortunately. You can use the steel barrel here to take out the green buzz in this corridor to grab the bear coin and extra life if you want to do so. But either way, keep going up and go into the automatic firing barrel. Now for the end of the stage, you want to be careful. You don't want to go to the right here and go through the no Quawks sign. Instead, you want to go to the left and go up here and go through this one, granting you a steel barrel that you can then throw at the coin over to the right side. Grab that DK coin, and then you can just continue on jumping up the last bit here. Head straight over to the right. You'll have to dodge a few enemies, but pretty easy with the low G to kind of get around them if you're cautious, unlike me, and trying to speed through it here. Jump between a couple of red buzzes at the very end, just do so slowly, and then hit the flag. Next up is the boss encounter for this area. Chaos, this robot that we'll have to deal with again later on, is a pretty interesting fight. His weak spot is the head that we have to jump on, but to do so, you're going to have to use the platforms he creates to get up there. Wait a few moments dodging back and forth as he uses his fire thrusters at the bottom to try to hit you. Eventually, he'll stop in the middle and you can jump on the moving platforms and get up on top of them in order to land and deal your damage. One funny thing is on your shoulders, you can actually walk back and forth still and not get hurt by the fire, even though it's just above you and technically going through the head of Dixie, I guess. After landing the third hit, the helmet of Chaos will come off and you have the exposed robot head here. The helmet will try to attack you with lasers in between bouts of dealing with the big robot still trying to hit you with the fire. Thankfully, you don't have to deal with them both at the same time here. Just have to deal with the robot still, and then after hitting them again, this is when the helmet finally comes into play and tries to attack you using the lasers. Just keep moving. It's pretty easy to dodge. Even with Dixie on my shoulders and moving very slow, I'm still able to easily dodge out of the way of the fire. Once he comes back down though, just jump on the platforms he creates in order to land on top of him and deal damage. Then dodge the lasers once again and repeat this process one more time to finally take out Chaos. We're done with Mechanos for now. We will have to return later on once we get the bowling ball item to give to the bear brother there, and that way he'll launch us up to that garden that's swinging and get us to the next banana bird cave, or that banana bird cave at least. Speaking of the banana birds, in my haste I accidentally forgot to get the cave right here in this lake for one, so I have to come back to this little area in just a little while after I get the rocket skis. I do for the most part like the underwater levels in DKC 3. I like them better at least than DKC 2's underwater themed stages, mostly just due to the whole kind of color schemes as well as overall set designs for the stage. Be sure to dive down here while you're making your way around so that you make it to the first of the 2 bonus rooms in this level. All you have to do is quickly swing to the right, watch out for a couple of lurchins and the other enemies kind of coming towards you pretty slowly at least. You'll have a decent amount of space to be able to get around and grab that coin at the end. Be cautious of the Bazooka enemies as you make it up here. You can kind of see as they come out in the set patterns. That's most of this level though, is just figuring out how to dodge in between those enemies. Swim on down here, watching out for one, you'll hit the checkpoint barrel and then swim on up the opposite side. Once up here, go over to the right, watching out for the Bazooka, and then swim on down, doing so quickly, trying to avoid the next set of enemies. Swim up here and then over to the right. Dropping down, you'll see one of those red cocoa fish over to the left. Swim below him and you'll find an on guard barrel. I love using on guard in this game, just dashing back and forth very, very quickly. He can destroy most enemies. Use the charged up dash to get quickly over to the left, bashing the enemies and then getting to the second bonus barrel here. Here you just have to use on guard to take out all of the red cocoa fish, slowly popping out of the various openings. Pretty easy to do. One thing that's good about these levels is the DK coins are all located at the end of the levels, every one of the underwater themed stages, so you never have to worry about looking out for a DK coin while swimming through the waters. Once you do make it to the end, you go in through this little cave, and this is where it's located. Be sure to go past the flag, don't grab it accidentally, and use, of course, the barrel on the right side to get the DK coin and finish up this stage. Next up is Rocket Barrel Ride. As we begin the level, we're going to deal with a couple of enemies. The big muscle guys are the biggest pain trying to deal with them. You'll bounce off along and stuff. But if you crash on top of them as Kitty, you can take them out. Similar to how Donkey Kong was able to take out some enemies in the original DKC while Diddy Kong couldn't. The rocket barrels themselves are interesting. They automatically blast when you jump into them and then fire you out. You can then kind of like control which direction you're going to go. So a lot of times you have to pick left or right to arc yourself in the right motion so that you don't end up going either into a pit or into a buzz or into whatever. Go in this barrel on the right here and blast up into the automatically firing barrel. It will fire you all the way over to the left onto this platform. Then when you get up here in this rocket barrel, you'll see a knick-knack to the left. Go over there, you'll bounce off a couple of them in a row before making it to the first bonus room. Very simple bonus room, just gather all the stars. You'll get a bunch of them automatically from the rocket barrel fire. You just have to gather a couple of the extra ones to finish it up. Once back in the level, we'll hit that checkpoint marker and continue up the waterfall here. Just be careful that you don't accidentally run into any of the green buzzes in the next little area, but really not too much of a threat as long as you don't rush things. At the top of this area, there's a Perry the banana bird to the right. If you're able to keep Perry alive, you'll get a blue balloon, but this is also very good practice for when you do need Perry for a few of the bonus items and such in the game, such as getting a bonus barrel or getting a steel barrel to take out one of the coin enemies in some stages. Pretty much you want to do a zigzag pattern back and forth with your jumping, and if you're able to keep them, there you go, you get that blue one-up balloon if you want it. And right after that, we're going to roll on down this little slope and into the bonus barrel, the second one for the stage. For this one, it's collecting the stars. You're going to ride the rocket barrel up into the air and it'll blast you, and then after you get all the stars above the one barrel, just do the same by transferring to the second barrel, so on and so forth. You should have plenty of time and plenty of shots out of the barrels. As long as you don't accidentally fall in the pit, this one shouldn't be too bad. After the bonus room, though, we are thankfully nearing the end of the level. You can see the G there, and as soon as you come out of this barrel, you'll find the steel drum for this one, the steel barrel you'll need. This one's a little bit difficult. We're going to do a light throw up in the air, get the lob toss. It will then start to slowly roll. Quickly go over to the far left and jump in the air to try to get the coin enemy just to look up slightly. Enough of that will just barely get the barrel through and take him out to grab that coin. For the next level, it's one of those water-themed dock stages. This one has one of those evil fish, though, in the water, so as soon as you go down and dip your little toes in, you potentially are going to get nipped. Once you make it to this rope here with the two swinging buzzes going around it, above it is a bonus barrel, the first one for the stage. This is one of those collect the green bananas ones, so just be careful, stay between the two ropes, don't jump down too far and go into the water. As long as you don't touch the water, you'll have no problem beating this one. Be very careful of any of the enemies. The TNT guys are very much a nuisance, and you're going to be dealing with quite a bit of them throughout the rest of the game. After a series of them, though, is the checkpoint barrel for the level. Continuing along the ropes, just be cautious, of course, watching out for more TNT barrels. But when you make it over here, you'll see an automatic firing barrel. Carefully get down in the water, whichever way you prefer to try to get down, and you'll be fired into the bonus barrel, the second one for the level. You don't have a lot of time here, but thankfully it's not too long. The back and forth moving barrels can be a pain, and this is one of those ones you may have to end up redoing a time or two just because it's a little bit difficult to get in between those enemies. The rest of the level is really straightforward, nothing too terrible, just avoiding a few more of the TNT enemies and not dropping into the water. At the end, go past the coin enemy and past the flag, pick up the steel barrel and go back. You're then going to throw it against the dock that he's standing in front of, and that way you'll be able to grab that coin and finish the level. The next level is similar to the rocket barrel level we did earlier, except this one has tracking barrels that we actually can control. They follow us as we move out of them, as they blast us, so you have to control them and get them into the right spots in order to avoid certain enemies and, of course, get over whatever area you're currently in. A little bit more difficult, I guess, to control than the rocket barrels, since you have to do a little bit more movement yourself, but still not too bad. Once you land on this platform, use Dixie Kong to spin over to the right side to get to the first bonus barrel of the level. This one is very easy, just use the tracking barrel to get all of the stars. Just easily blast between the 2 tracking barrels if and when you need to. Shouldn't be too difficult, and you do have a fair amount of time in order to gather them all. Out of the bonus room, we're going to head over to the left. Watch out for a couple enemies. You can do the spin to get through them if you want. Then avoid the buzz while using the barrel over to the far left. Next up, behind the waterfall, you'll blast up to the next platform. Jump in the air here, and you're going to end up getting the Ellie barrel. Becoming Ellie, you're able to actually use the waterfall to take in water, and use that, of course, to blast enemies using her trunk. You can fire while you're being blasted out of the barrels, and you're going to do just that in order to take out these 2 green buzzes and get to the second bonus barrel. This is an easy bonus room. You're just going to use Ellie to bounce off of all the knick-knack enemies scattered throughout it, just a few of them. You should have plenty of extra time in order to beat this one. As we continue on, carefully guide Ellie between the sets of buzzes here and get over to the left side. In the next spot here, be very careful that Ellie doesn't accidentally hit the buzz enemy above her. You can take them out using the trunk, of course, if you have some water stored up. Watch out for the green circling buzz, and then when you land on the next platform, there's a couple of big enemies before coming to a no Ellie sign. Pick up the barrel. You gotta be very careful with this one because you only get the one shot. You need to fire it out and then quickly jump up here, and that way it'll go underneath the coin shield and take it out so you can grab that coin. If you end up failing that, you'll have to redo the entire level, or you can lose a life and then just restart the stage from that checkpoint barrel. Next up is Fish Food Frenzy, another fun little underwater level, and the gimmick this time around is you are feeding that fish behind you. If you take too long to feed it, it gets angry and attacks you, or if you feed it the wrong kinds of things, it gets angry. The thing is, it doesn't know what it should and shouldn't eat, so you gotta make sure that you guide it carefully around the cocos and the lurchin. Lurchins are gonna make it angry, and the coco fish are gonna make him happy. Thankfully, it's not too difficult a lot of times to just keep a nice speedy movement going, and you can get him to avoid a lot of the enemies. You won't be tempted to eat them. Right up here, watch out for the lurchin and then go into the first bonus room. This is a very easy one. It's just a big open room. You can swim freely and just collect the 15 green bananas. Once back in the level, continue to the left, watching out for a series of lurchin. If he does end up grabbing them, just make sure that the fish ends up eating the next couple of coco fish so that you get him back into the blue before the next area. Most of the level here is straightforward. When you make it to the checkpoint barrel, we're going to take the bottom path here and just head straight on over to the right. Heading down here, you'll see a series of bananas going through a small opening to the left. You can use the fish to take out that one coco fish. Drop down here if you want a bear coin, but continue over to the far left, and eventually you'll come to another green coco fish and a series of bananas heading up. Head up into the left here, you'll come to another chamber, a couple of lurchin on the right. We're just going to hug the left wall and just make sure that he doesn't end up eating anything that he shouldn't be eating. And then once at the bottom, start heading over to the far right. Just stay along the bottom path. There is a few fish around here that you can safely eat, followed by a series of very quick moving lurchin. The last one of these we're going to want to sneak past and go to the bonus room. Do your best not to let your fish eat it, but as long as you make it to the bonus room, you are safe. For this bonus room, you do get the fish with you, and it's destroy all the enemies, so you have to quickly swim him around and have him eat all of the green coco fish. Not too difficult. Sometimes you can be finicky with him eating them, but as long as you don't run into the fish yourself, you should be able to get through this pretty easily. Once out of the bonus room, we're actually right near the end of the stage, and just like the previous underwater level, the coin enemy is at the very end here. Get onto dry land, and then you want to throw Dixie Kong up to the platform above, where you will find coin and a steel barrel where you can easily get it. A little behind the scenes thing here. While I was recording the gameplay right at the end of this level, my dog knocked the controller out of my hand, and while I was trying to get him to settle during the beginning of the next fight, I ended up missing the first cycle of attacks. Like, I get the eyes once each, but I wasn't able to get them twice each like I normally do during that first cycle. So as this fight begins, you become Ellie. You're going to need to use Ellie's blast to take out the eyeballs of the enemy in the background that's then firing the water stream at you. The water stream doesn't hurt you, but it does knock you into the pits. So normally I'm able to hit both eyes twice right then from the get-go, but I was still kind of distracted for a moment, so... After we gather the water again, we're going to let the eyeballs pop out and finish him off for the first round here. Once you hit both eyes twice, he retreats automatically, and the second round begins. He's going to end up spinning the water around like twice, and then if you do this just right with the diagonal direction from the bottom and then jumping and timing it, you can hit both eyes twice before he ends up retracting, and you don't have to go through a whole nother cycle before you get a chance again. After dodging the water streams again, I'm going to hit his eyes for a third time through, and that is enough to defeat him. We're going to gather the other ski here, and this will allow us to get our new vehicle. With both of those skis in tow, get back into the hovercraft and head over to Funky's shop, and he will automatically give us our new transportation. The turbo ski is a lot of fun. As you can see, it's pretty fast, and this will allow us to get up the waterfall on the left side here and get to the next Banana Bird Cave. Before heading to the next part of the world map, we're going to stop by the general store and buy the seashell and just take care of that now. We can't buy the mirror yet. As I said, we need 50 of the bear coins. Unfortunately, I don't do the best job during this run of getting those coins, so I do have to play a few rounds of Swanky's minigame at the end. After practicing the game for months, I focused less on going off the beaten path to get those bear coins, because at least you have the option to do that minigame and gather the last ones you may possibly need after doing everything else in the game. So at the end, we're going to play about 3 rounds of Swanky's minigame 10 so that we can get enough of those bear coins so that we can finally buy that mirror. With the seashell in hand, go to this island and give the bear here that seashell. He's so happy, he gives you a banana bird for free. Well, at least free of having to do the Simon minigame, I guess. Now, before we head to the next part of the world here in GKC3 and do some new levels, we're going to go right back to Cotton Top Cove. Like I mentioned before, there is a Banana Bird Cave that I just got absent-minded and forgot to get real quick. So we're going to stop by. All you got to do is walk up this part or swim up to this part of the wall and you find Bounty Bay. Use the rocket ski at the far right here of the lake and you'll get up to the top portion here where we get to the final area kind of that we're going to be doing with actual worlds or areas to complete, and there's 3 of them, with the first one being the snowy mountain-filled area K3. In general, I like the visual style of these mountain levels, even though a few of them are pretty difficult, and I also like the song that goes along with all these stages. On this rope, you want to get up and then get over the Cracker enemy, the TNT barrel enemy, and that way you can get over to the left on the rope and get to the first bonus room here. Avoid the Cracker enemy as you're grabbing the stars back and forth on the rope. Just keep jumping over them each pass and gather the stars. You should have enough time to make at least a dozen or so passes before you run out of time. You'll pop out right here. You can grab this barrel if you want and use it on the sneak enemy on the platform on the right. But either way, you're going to keep climbing up, watching out for more of the TNT enemies as you keep quickly jumping. Go to the very far left, hug the wall, and then jump quickly up the series of ropes. You can take the far left rope, and this will give you a nice little arc over the next of the Cracker enemies. This DK coin is a little bit difficult for some people to get, but if you just hold onto the barrel and jump from underneath the coin, you'll instantly take him out and don't have to actually throw the barrel at all. Right after that, be careful when you make it to this rope. You're going to be chased down by one of the TNT enemies. Quickly go to the left and jump up here. On the right, you're going to see an opening. In here is the letter M, but also above that is a small ledge you can actually throw Dixie up onto. Watch out for this enemy and grab the second bonus barrel for the level. For this one, jump to the rope and then go all the way to the far right and make quick jumps along the way. If you do it fast enough, you can easily scale this one without having to do any kind of zigzagging. Right after that, blast up and go all the way to the far right and drop down. Make sure that the next set of enemies aren't directly below you before you drop down yourself. You're pretty much repeating that process up the next little area, watching out for more of the barrel enemies. This whole level has been pretty much one long chase of you avoiding getting blown up, pretty much. Right here, be very careful to drop down. If you want the G, you can try to get it, but either way at the very bottom, thankfully, is the flag, and we can finish up this one. For the next level, as soon as it begins, use this barrel to blast yourself in a downward right diagonal direction, and you will hit the bonus barrel, the first one for this level. Pick up either Dixie or Kitty, whichever one you want to, and throw them up into the enemies above. Dixie's much easier to be thrown up by Kitty to bounce off of these knick-knack enemies and then grab that coin. As soon as you're back in the level, though, you're going to be in the toboggan. Be very careful, of course, during this time. You're going to have to do a lot of short jumps and avoid a few enemies, the skiddas in particular. Thankfully, you can jump on the green buzzes and take them out with the toboggan. The next little part of the level isn't too difficult, just a few jumps and a couple of standard enemies to avoid. After hitting the checkpoint marker is where things get a little bit more difficult, harder to see as the snow has picked up, as well as a little bit more of shorter jumps to avoid falling into any of the ditches scattered throughout. For a lot of these, you can dip down in for just a second and quickly jump out, but you gotta be very fast and have that timing down in order to avoid hitting any of the walls or enemies and losing a Kong. After grabbing the letter G, you'll see a directional arrow pointing to the right. You can make a short jump here over it, but a lot of times, as long as I have both Kongs, I just run through it and get hit by the green buzz to make sure that I guarantee to get that bonus barrel. For here, be very careful, just jump a couple of times when you need it and follow the line of stars to get the bonus coin. Thankfully, outside of the level at the very end here, just get into the last barrel that will blast you over to the right, and you'll land where one of those steel barrels is. Take that to the right, throw it off the wall, and grab coin, and then just grab the flag. Next up is another one of the waterfall-themed levels, where your goal is heading up. The main gimmick this time around is barrels falling down the waterfall, and you have to jump up them, very similar to the classic Super Mario Bros. 2. Right up here, we're going to go over to the right side and pick up the steel barrel, carry that over with us a little bit farther, down to the very bottom here. Then you want to lob it over to the right, and then run. Make sure that it's still on screen. If you run too fast, it'll go off screen and disappear. Make sure that it's still on screen and slowly inch your way towards coin, jumping into the air so that coin lifts a shield, and you take out coin, grabbing yourself a DK coin. Continuing on in the level past that, work your way up these kind of barrels and keep jumping up them enough until you can see the bonus barrel on the far right and get up into it. Here you get to collect green bananas, 15 of them, like we've done many times already, and we'll do a few more times before this game is done, just jumping in between the various barrels as they come down the streaming waterfall. It can be a little bit difficult at times, and I can even slip up myself. Use Dixie Kong during this, of course, so that you can use her ponytail to kind of save you potentially if you do end up falling down or potentially start slipping towards the pit. It's a pretty lengthy bonus room at that, so it's one of those ones I'm not the biggest fan of, and I've failed quite a few times over the years and even trying to do these runs. Not long after grabbing the letter O, we will reach that checkpoint marker. Here is where you'll have to jump up a bunch of barrels in a row to slowly make your way up to the top. You'll have to zigzag back and forth, use Dixie to help you out, until eventually you make it to the auto-firing barrel. After passing the letter N, as you'll see it above you, you want to go over to the far right. You can use Dixie Kong to use that ponytail to help you, but that's the location of the second bonus room for the level. This one's a lot easier than the last one. You just have to jump back and forth and climb up the waterfall until you reach the top. At least I think this one's a bit more easy to deal with instead of the collecting green bananas. Of the different bonus room types in the game, which one is your particular favorite? Do you like just trying to barrel through a level and get to the end to find a coin? Do you like bashing the baddies? Do you like collecting stars? Or do you actually like the green bananas? Since I'm not the biggest fan, I know there's plenty out there that probably like that particular bonus room. Let me know in the comments below. A little bit farther after getting that bonus room, we're going to get Perry the Banana Bird, and you can keep Perry with you if you want. It's no essential item that you need, but if you're able to keep Perry alive, you will get a green balloon. At this point, I've gathered a pretty decent amount of lives, so I feel pretty safe not having to grab it there. Crackshot Croc is up next, and this is another one of my favorite levels because I get to be Squitter. Any level where I get to ride on or control Squitter fully are some of my favorites in DKC 2 and 3. Squitter is probably my favorite animal buddy overall because of what he's able to do, but Squawks is close behind, if not tied with him. The main gimmick for the level, besides controlling Squitter, is that reticle that's consistently following us. It'll chase us down, stop eventually on us, and then fire a projectile. Just keep on moving and make sure that you're not staying at the spot where the X appears. You're most vulnerable during spots where you're going to have to do a bit of platforming or climbing using the webs, as you won't have as much movement available to you to get away from those attacks. A little bit ways in, climb up using your web platforms to get to the bonus barrel, where you'll find one of these collect the 15 green banana ones, using Squitter's platforms to aid you in grabbing them. Back in the level, continue to the left, watch out for recoil, and then start building a couple of web platforms up into the diagonal upper left direction so you can make it to this platform with a few more recoils. Like I said, you're pretty much most vulnerable making these different web platforms, but even then, you have a decent amount of time usually to get out of the way or make your next platform jump before you end up getting attacked by the firing reticle. Sometimes I will wait on a platform for an extra second or so, just readying the reticle to fire at me, and then make my jump so I know I have the most amount of time to make my next platform or whatever I need to do. Be careful you don't make the platform too low, or you may end up landing in that pink substance in these random vats, though you can land just above the surface level, which is sometimes pretty cool to time it to see how close you can get without ending up losing your health. Here I'm going to take the upper path, just much easier to take a straight line over to the left side on the bottom with that Kong letter, unless you want to try to get all of them. Right here we're going to go below and gather a bear coin that's kind of hidden here. slowly but surely inching our way towards that 50 bear coin goal, though, like I said, unfortunately, I don't quite make it before we end up making it to the end of the game. Right here where you see this red buzz flying above, we're going to make a series of web platforms up, and eventually you'll come to a small little area with a bonus barrel. This is one of those ones where it's Bash the baddie, but you get to control the reticle that's been chasing us this whole level, so pretty cool that we get to do that. Just have to time it right that you're able to take out the recoil enemies as they hop their way above the different barriers. In the center of the room are a couple of buzzes that you'll have to time your shots on as well. After taking out all of the enemies, gather that bonus coin by firing at it just like you have the enemies, and we're continuing on the level. Be very careful making your way up here with the green buzzes. You can, of course, take them out if need be. As you're making your run across this path here, if you fire in a diagonal upwards direction, you can take out the recoil enemies as they hop in the air. If you miss them, of course, you want to slow down and be ready to slow down, but a lot of times you can just find your way barreling through, and anytime I can run using Squitter to take out multiple enemies is pretty satisfying. Be very careful at the end that the barrel you get for the no squitter sign, that you don't accidentally lose it, and you fire it correctly backwards so that you can take out the coin enemy and grab that DK coin before hitting the flag. Next up is a snowy themed level here that you can see at the very beginning is the first bonus barrel. Use Kitty to throw Dixie up into the air and land safely into that bonus barrel above the red buzz. Very easy bonus room, just avoid getting hit by the enemies, and then you'll be blasted back into the stage. The Lemguin enemies, or penguin-looking enemies, are what we're going to be mostly dealing with throughout this level. They are consistently coming at you through random streams, these holes that you'll have to deal with. You can bounce on them, though, very efficiently, and hit multiple in a row to keep bouncing. A little bit ways into the level, you will come to a steel barrel that we can throw into the nearby wall to take out the coin enemy and grab that DK coin for the level. Here I'm going to just keep running using Dixie. Thankfully the Languins are the same speed, so I can kind of keep up with them there. Using the ponytail spin above here, I can avoid the next stream of the Languin enemies before finally getting another DK barrel so I can get Kitty back into my party. A little bit after the letter G, you'll come to a series of Languins coming at you very quickly. Go to the opposite side of the building where you see the bonus barrel, and then go through the bonus barrel that way so you can safely get in there without getting hurt. Here you have to jump between a bunch of the Languin enemies and collect a series of stars so you can get that bonus coin. A little bit difficult, the screen will sometimes slow up a little bit because of just so much going on, so just kind of be careful a bit when grabbing the stars in that bonus room. Almost near the end, though, as we have one big last slope of Languins coming at us, and bounce up them before hitting that flag. The boss for this area is Bleak. Go to Bleak's house in order to deal with him. This is a really cool fight, as it uses the same mechanics as the Swanky minigame tent. We have to quickly move back and forth at the bottom of the screen and fire at the little chest plate of Bleak. He can throw snowballs at us, eventually stopping, and then will fire out giant snowballs from his hat, like a cannon. After he gets done firing, he'll laugh at you for a moment, in which case that's your perfect opportunity to land a hit of your own. Another big part of this battle is you actually have to control what level you're firing at, as you can see indicated with the switch on the left side, the little blue ball that indicates if I'm firing at the bottom level or the top one. As the fight makes it farther in, he'll start moving between those two levels, and this is where it becomes essential for you to get used to timing, being able to fire farther away and being able to just barely hit him while also dodging the fireballs that he shoots out. If you land a hit during this, he'll then go into the cannonball sequence again. You have to keep dodging a bunch of them. Thankfully, it's not too bad doing the timing of this. It's actually one of my favorite kind of fights because the timing actually is pretty precise and works well. Finally, after enough hits though, Bleak is defeated and we're moving on to the next part of DKC 3. Next up is Razor Ridge, and we're going to do Buzzer Barrage first. As expected, this is a level featuring buzzes, but we also get to ride on Quack the parrot. Quack, unfortunately, cannot fire out, but still pretty fun to control because you move very quickly with Quack, and flying through the levels I always found pretty enjoyable throughout this series. Over here, watch out for the buzzes, the red one moving back and forth, and pick up the barrel to take out the green buzz so you can get down and grab the first bonus room. This is one of those bash the baddies ones, and you have to use Quacks the parrot to pick up the barrels at the beginning area and then carry them throughout the room, taking out each one of the green buzzes. Just be careful that you don't accidentally run into one yourself. Back in the level, watch out for the 2 copter enemies, not far from the bonus room. You can use a steel barrel to take out the bird if you want to grab the O, but it's not something you have to do. A little bit after that, you will be able to pick up this wooden barrel, and you need to keep that with you a moment just to take out the green buzz a few inches away. There's a few times in this level where you have to kind of guide yourself between copter enemies, so kind of get used to whatever speed they're going and slowly maneuver your way between them. Use the barrel to take out the 1 green buzz before a small hallway and the checkpoint barrel. Not long after the checkpoint barrel, you'll find a coin enemy. Fly up here, grab the steel barrel and carry it down, and then launch at the wall right next to him in order to slowly take out the coin. While it looks like you may need a barrel, you can actually fly to the ceiling here and get right above that line of green buzzes. The same goes right after that for another green buzz that's kind of hanging out. You can actually sneak by hugging the walls. Pick up the steel barrel here and drop it between the red buzzes to take out the green one there. You may actually be able to sneak past more of the green buzzes, but there's only a few of which I try to sneak past. Right there is another example of one that you can't, because you try to get too close to the ceiling, you end up still getting hit. But thankfully, right after you get hit by that green buzz, there's a barrel waiting for you so you can get your other hit point back. Make it to the no quack sign and then ride the copter enemy. Bounce on top of its head all the way up this small little chamber and you'll come to a bonus room at the very top. Here, use Dixie or Kitty to just bounce on top of the copter's head and then bounce off of it to collect the stars on the left and right side. It's a bit annoying to try to control this, and sometimes I'll switch over to Kitty and use Dixie and just throw her up into the air to collect them that way. But whichever way you prefer, grab them all up and grab the bonus coin and then finish up the level right after that. Now, in this area, you have two sets of chair lifts. One's automatically going, which is Benny's, and then we have another one that's above us that we can't access yet. We need to get a tool. We'll get that in a little while, come back here, and that's how we get to another one of those banana bird caves. The next level is a bit annoying. It's another one of those kind of auto-scrolling levels, but instead of a giant saw chasing us, it's just a slowly burning fire that's eating up the rope that we're riding up. A lot of this level is quickly getting off of the rope and then jumping on back to it, or jumping to another rope, sometimes quickly just turning back and forth on whichever rope you're slowly climbing up. There's a lot of copter enemies as well as buzz enemies that you'll have to dodge all throughout this area. Up here, we're going to climb up using the wall, or you can just keep riding the rope all the way up and fly over just above it if you like, but I prefer the safer method, just go below it, avoiding the buzzes as much as possible, and grabbing that first bonus room of the area. In this one, just use the automatic firing barrels to keep blasting upwards, grabbing the rope each time between the green buzzes, and finally making it to the top for the bonus coin. Sometimes with the auto firing barrels, give it a moment for the whole thing to kind of show up so you know exactly where you're about to fire to and don't accidentally fire into any enemies. When you make it here with a series of green buzzes going through the rope, there's 3 of them. Just above that will be a line of bananas going over to the right. Use Dixie to swing on over and hit that second bonus room. This one's a little bit easier, I think, than the first one. You just have to quickly go up and move back and forth on the rope, avoiding the copter enemies that alternate between the left and right sides. Be very careful on the rope here. The copter enemies keep coming in from the right or left sides, just slowly flying downwards towards you. When you make it up here, you'll see an opening to the left. Climb up, grab the steel barrel, and throw it to the left. The coin enemy is inside the little opening there, and you'll bounce the barrel right off of them and be able to easily pick up the DK coin for the stage, which also is the end of the level, thankfully. Here's another one of those underwater themed levels. This one's actually pretty fun because to be able to see, you have to hit these fish that then illuminate the underwater area. Like the other underwater themed places, the DK coin is at the very end, so you don't have to worry about that until we make it to that end area. Just have to focus on trying to find the couple of bonus rooms that are scattered throughout this underwater place. I love controlling On Guard. It's just very fun and satisfying to blast through all these different enemies, and it's very efficient too. In this small little corridor, you can go through an opening to the right and pick up that first bonus room, which is grabbing 90 of the stars. Very easy to do so using On Guard. Even if it's dark, it's not really hard to see where the stars are located. And you can either move quickly, move slow, whichever way you prefer, but gather them all before the time is up. Back in the level, I'm going to keep just rushing forward using On Guard, eventually come to that checkpoint marker. A lot of the enemies, including the Lurchins, can be taken out easily just blasting through, because a lot of times when they first appear on screen, they start by opening, and that will allow you to get the first hit on them as soon as they show up. This area has a few different paths here, some dead ends and the like. Eventually you'll make it into kind of a center corridor, and at the bottom of this center corridor is the location of the next bonus room. This one's another collect the stars one, so 2 collect the stars ones in this level, but this one's a little bit easier, I think. You're just following the path of stars, guiding you slowly through the level until you reach the end of the path. The last little area here has a bunch of lurchins, but just kind of blast through. Like I said, a lot of times when they first appear, if you just charge with on guard, you'll more than likely hit them before they hit you. Going into this chamber here, use the automatic firing barrel, then go to the left, grabbing the steel barrel, and then go back to the right to where the coin enemy is located, firing it off the wall to take it out and pick up the flag. The next level is Pothole Panic, and this is a pretty fun stage because we get to use multiple animal buddies throughout the course of it, starting off with Squawks the Parrot. Be very cautious of the purple bomb throwing barrel enemies. They are very annoying, one of my least favorite ones, as it's a bit hard sometimes to dodge their bomb throws. After this little corridor here, you'll drop down into the water, where going over to the right will get you on guard. Like we just did in the previous stage, use on guard to kind of just blast through a lot of these enemies. It's a really kind of easy area as long as you have him with you. After popping out of the water here and making it to the checkpoint barrel, we come to Ellie the elephant. There's some bombs being dropped through openings above, so be careful of that. Sometimes I end up getting hit because I always forget that that bomb enemy is right there, but thankfully we're able to easily recover and get Ellie back. Ellie does float in the water. Use Ellie to go over to the left in this underwater area, and you'll be able to jump off her back and fire into the bonus room. Here, use Ellie, just keep blasting off of her back and pick up all the stars to easily get another bonus coin. We sadly lose Ellie coming back into the water, but we're just going to go to the right, jumping out of the water. You may need to throw one of the Kongs up into the air to hit the automatic firing barrel. That's why they give you a free DK barrel there. And this is where we come to the Squitter part of the stage. Before you make it to the no squitter sign, you'll see bombs coming from above. Be very cautious and climb up, and you'll use your web platforms to make it to the second bonus room. This is one of those grab the 15 bananas, but you have to deal with the bomb throwing guy as well. Pretty difficult sometimes. Just make sure that you consistently keep coming back to the far left so that you avoid the arcing bomb throws. After coming out of the bonus room, go through the no squitter sign and then switch over to the kitty, throw Dixie up into the upper right corner so that you can make it to these platforms and then pick up the steel barrel to take out coin. Throwing the barrel of coin in this area can be difficult because of the small little room that you have. Lobbing it sometimes is best in order to actually grab it. Next up is Ropey Rumpus, and as you can probably guess, there's a lot of ropes in this one. Starting off by going to the far right, watching out for a series of green and red buzzes. This is a lot of what we're going to be doing all throughout this level. Here, pick up the TNT barrel and then jump over to the far right, hugging the wall and watching out for the red buzzes. When you make it to the bottom, you're going to destroy the wall automatically as long as you have the TNT barrel in your hands, and this allows you to get to the first bonus room for the level. Just be careful of the green circling buzzes throughout here and grab the bonus coin. Work your way now over to the very far left, once again dodging more green buzzes. Climb up a couple of rope jumps and repeat the process that we've been doing, eventually making it to the checkpoint marker. Here you'll have some really fast moving green buzzes. Quickly climb up after they bypass so that you can make it up before they make their next round and end up running into you. Up here you'll see a bunch of green buzzes along this rope moving to the left. Drop down into this big opening, in which case you'll find the steel barrel and coin enemy for the level. With grabbing that one, we now have only 10 more DK coins to collect, 10 more stages to go through in DKC 3. 5 more in the next area, leading to our first ending, and then we get to do the bonus area, Krematoa. You can use Perry the Banana Bird throughout here to gather a few extra items, but you want to make sure that you remain with Perry until eventually reaching the end. If you can keep Perry all the way through the end of this area, you'll get the second bonus barrel. That's the only way you can get it in this level. Pretty tricky sometimes to keep Perry alive, and you may need to try a few times, but thankfully it's not too lengthy of a level, and the checkpoint barrel isn't too far from where you have to start the whole Perry thing. This one is another one that's annoying. Grab the 15 bananas while dealing with these swing circling green buzzes, but if you're able to complete this one and grab the bonus coin, we're also right near the end of this level. The boss for this area is Barbos, and Barbos is actually a really cool fight. It's a giant lurchin enemy. Barbos has 2 of the kind of red lurchin next to him that he uses as shields, and what you'll need to do is hit the other lurchin that come out of the area to fire at the shields, and then move on guard down to blast yourself at the kind of soft area of Barbos, and then the fight will continue to the next area, where instead of dealing with the lurchins, you have these enemies that you have to kind of line up like homing shots, and then they'll blast for it when they turn yellow, and wherever they go, they may hit you, or they may end up running into one of the shields protecting Barbos. Once you take out the shields again, blast yourself into Barbos to go to the next part. For this part of the fight, Barbos is on the top part, firing spikes at you, consistently opening and closing. You have to make your way up while it's doing this and blast yourself forward in order to hit Barbos. You have to do this 3 times. It can be tricky to dodge in between. It's a lot of timing in order to do so, but once you deliver that final hit, we're moving on to the next area of DKC 3. The final non-bonus area of the game is Chaos Core. These are some really tricky levels as to be expected. There's a cool castle there that's kind of in the center that we're working our way towards throughout here. Conveyor Rope Clash is the first of the levels here, and it has a very similar kind of background and such to the lost areas of DKC 2, the lost world that you got to go to there. These conveyor ropes, of course, are going to be like conveyor belts, so they push or pull you whichever direction they're going, and you have to time your jumps accordingly, a lot of times to get around a lot of the hazards, making sure that you don't run into enemies or fall into pits. Between these 2 green buzzes on this conveyor rope, you're going to fall down into the first bonus room. Very easy to scatter all of the stars while using the conveyor rope to help you out. This level isn't overly difficult, but one way to make it a bit easier is using Dixie. The float gives you that extra second to prepare where you want to land or maneuver around some of the buzzes. Here you have a series of buzzes. Quickly maneuver around them and fly over this green buzz at the end, float if need be, or if you can, and make it to the second bonus room. This one, you're just collecting more green bananas and doing so between 2 conveyor ropes. Nothing too bad. Now, once back in the level, continuing over to the right, there's a lot more of the buzzes. Get to the very edge of this rope before jumping off, or you may accidentally clip one of the buzzes above you. On the next long rope, there's a lot more green circling green buzzes. There's a ton of them. Right when you make it to the end, though, you want to drop down and make it here to the steel barrel. You'll throw it to the right and then jump on top of the coin so that it hits him, and then make it over to the flag. Next up is Creepy Caverns, and this one has the spooky barrels that we first saw introduced in DKC2. They disappear and reappear, and you need to time it right so that you jump into them when they're facing the correct directions, so that you safely make it to wherever you're trying to get to and not accidentally into something bad. Be careful not to go into the ghost barrel when it appears below the red buzzes, so you don't fire right directly into one. Use Kitty Kong if you want to on the big heavier enemies, or just jump safely between them. You can use Dixie to kind of float here to make sure that the ghost barrel appears and you land safely on it. Wait for it to then get between the two red buzzes here and blast up. Then you want to go over to the left side and go into the first bonus room of the level. For this bonus room, you have to collect all of the stars. There is a total of 50, and you can use the ghost barrel to kind of help you out in doing so. After the checkpoint barrel, use the DK barrel to take out the green buzz, or just jump up into it if you've already used it on the enemy, and get Squitter. Once you have Squitter and make it to this platform, what you'll need to do is create a series of bridge platforms upwards where this one green banana is, and dodge the ghost barrels. They'll keep firing you down, but if you're persistent enough, you'll eventually make it up, and that's the location of the next bonus room. For this bonus room, you want to avoid the ghost barrels while also avoiding the red buzzes. Creating a series of bridge platforms on the bottom kind of part here is usually the easiest way to do this. Majority of the rest of this level is just making sure that you don't accidentally go into ghost barrels that you shouldn't. Thankfully, we get another DK barrel here so we can get Dixie back into our party. Eventually, you'll come to a steel barrel, and this one's tricky, but not too bad. You want to lob it up and then use the ghost barrel to fire over to the right and quickly get above the coin so that it will roll into him and you'll take him out. Also, not too far from the flag. Once you're in the water here, swim in a figure 8 pattern around these rocks. If you do so correctly, the little hatch will open up and you'll be able to go in the sewer stockpile, the next Banana Bird Cave. The next level is Lightning Lookout, and as you can probably guess, lightning is going to be involved, and it's actually an interesting mechanic. After a little bit, lightning will flash and then come crashing down. When it does so, of course, you want to make sure that you're not standing directly where it's about to come down. It can electrify water, it can also take out various enemies, and you're going to need to do this at the right moment sometimes to not only get around the stage, but also get some of the secrets. Over here where the O is, drop down into the water quickly so that the lightning doesn't come down and electrify the water, and make it to the first bonus room. Here, quickly bounce off of the knick-knack enemies, not too difficult, no lightning during this. and if you take them all out successfully, you'll get another bonus coin. Back in the level, I'm going to use Kitty's roll ability to skip over the water, just makes things a little bit easier. When you make it this bird, stand underneath of it until eventually the lightning takes it out. It'll give you a wooden barrel. Then use the wooden barrel to take out the next bird right next to it. Be very careful that the lightning doesn't come down and destroy your barrel before you get the chance to use it. Then use that steel barrel over to the right, throwing it against the wall and picking up the coin. Thankfully, there's a fair amount of buzzes and other enemies above us a lot of times to take some of the blows from the lightning. Standing underneath the red buzzes here, you can see the lightning kind of bypasses us, either hitting the buzzes or going next to us. Right here, jump above the water area, and if you get hit by lightning, just use it to kind of help you guide yourself into the barrel, but either way, you'll find that second bonus room, but this time you do have to deal with lightning. Just quickly keep moving back and forth, don't stand still for too long, and gather all the green bananas. You have the opportunity to miss a few, so if lightning's about to come crashing down directly on a green banana, just wait a moment and get the next one. Thankfully, it's now just a sprint to the end. If you have both Kongs, it's not too bad. Keep moving, watching out for enemies. Don't stay in the water for more than just a few moments, and wait for lightning to pass before attempting to jump between the various barrels in the water segments. You can roll through some enemies, which will help you speed through things, but eventually, after a lot of running, we come to the flag. Next up is Coin Dozer Clamber, and the coin enemies, there's two variants of them. The one that gives us the K coin, and then these ones which are more aggressive. They chase us down and try to bump us off of ledges, but you can also use them as platforms. This level also features a fair amount of the conveyor ropes, so be careful of them. You're probably pretty much an expert though with them after the previous level with them. Use the wooden barrels being fired out so that you can bounce across and safely over the gap. Right above that though, in the conveyor rope, you'll find the first DK bonus barrel. Here, use the coin enemies to bounce on their shields and gather up all of the stars. The next bonus room is pretty easy to get. It's just above this area. After coming back down the slope, you'll see it floating in the air. You can easily throw Kong up into it. For this one, it's pretty easy. Grab the 15 bananas. Just use the shields to help you with the platforms and grab all of the wonderful floating green bananas. Just be careful that you don't stay too close to the edge and get bounced off into one of the pits by their shields. Not long after that bonus room is the coin enemy. For this guy, we're going to go across the gap, and then you need to hit the switch so he starts firing out steel barrels instead. Then ride back over, float on over to the left, and then repeat the process back over to the right using the steel barrels. But either way, we have a nice shiny DK coin for our effort. Jump up the last few of these enemies. You can use that float to kind of help guide you a little bit easier, and hit the flag at the end with just one level left before we make it to the castle. Now this level is exceptionally annoying because the controls are flipped and messed up. You have to hit left to go right, and just all around movement, and trying to get your character to go where you want can sometimes be very difficult. Jumping out of the water in particular, you want to make sure you come to a complete stop, jump, and then hit the direction you want. That way you don't accidentally go one direction and then turn the other direction in midair, and you end up just landing right back in the water. Near the beginning, we're going to go all the way over to the left, swimming through the poisonous water, and make it to the first bonus room of this place. This automatically gives us on guard the swordfish, in which case we can just run through all the green cocoa fish. Back in the level, On Guard is also affected by the poison, so of course swimming with him can be difficult, just as difficult, but thankfully his attack allows you at least to take out some of the enemies in his direct line of sight. Eventually, you'll come to the No On Guard sign and get a 1-up balloon for your effort. You'll be able to keep him around for that. Next up, you have to slowly maneuver and swim around a bunch of the lurchin enemies, and because of that switch controls, it can be pretty difficult to get through. After you head up a couple of levels with the lurchins and red cocoa fish between them, you'll come to one with 2 of the fish between the lurchins. Instead of going up, go to the left where you'll see a bunch of lurchins going up, quickly get past them, and swim downwards into the next bonus barrel. For this bonus barrel, you're going to collect 30 stars. Just follow them in the arcing pattern they go. While the controls are still messed up, it thankfully is pretty easy to kind of swim around in this circle to gather them all. At the end of the level here, we're going to climb on up, pick up this barrel, and then throw it against the grate to the right. And if you do it at the right spot, it'll bounce back and take out the coin enemy. So we have 35 coins, only the 5 left for Crematoa left to gather. We now move on to Castle Chaos, the first of the bosses and the final boss if you're completing this game normally without going to Crematoa at all. The first fight is against the robot that we dealt with earlier, Chaos, though you can see some feet hanging out from below the curtain on the right side of the room. For this battle, you need to get barrels and throw them up into the head of Chaos here. After hitting him once, he'll start firing out some projectiles and some arcing patterns. Just kind of watch out for them. Quickly get underneath and pick up the barrel on the opposite side of the room, once again throwing it up into the air with a lob throw in order to hit Chaos. After you deliver the second hit, you have a small cutscene before the next part of the fight begins. We now get the battle Baron K. Rollenstein. For this fight, we have to grab a hold of these levers and get barrels to fall down. You want to make sure they don't fall directly on top of him, or it'll end up just breaking the barrel and not damaging him. Instead, you want to get down to the ground level, pick up the barrel, and launch it at his back, and he'll start bouncing all around the room. When he eventually comes to a stop, repeat the process, getting to one of the levers, pulling down a barrel, and then launching at his back when you're behind him in order to do damage. You can duck underneath of him if needed, just time it right so you can deliver that hit and have him flying all around the room again. Now the next part of the battle begins. It's similar with you pulling on these levers, but instead of immediately going and grabbing the barrel and getting behind them, you have to keep moving back and forth while avoiding the lightning that's going below, picking up the barrel on the platform on the edge and then launching it back at him. When you do so, it'll hit him and cause him to go down into the electricity down below, shocking him and doing damage. After delivering the second hit, he'll start moving the platform by pressing a button. The platform will go to the opposite side, just wait for it, and another moving platform will come your way. Ride that across, jumping up to once again pull the switch, in which case it will put a barrel on the platform we were first on just a moment ago. Just now you gotta repeat that same process of hitting with the barrel, causing him to go into the electricity, and doing this twice will move us on to that next part of the battle. Just take your time on the moving platform, you can duck underneath of him easily to avoid getting hit. For the next part of the battle, he'll get rid of the electricity at the bottom for a bit, but it'll intermittently start happening again. When it disappears for that moment, you have to quickly get down, pick up the barrel that you get to appear, and launch it at its back once again. For this part of the fight, you're going to have to hit him 3 times with the barrels, not just twice, in order to actually finally complete this battle. Once we deliver the final blow to Baron K. Rollenstein, we can sit back and enjoy the ending to DKC3. Well, the first ending. After the ending, with the enemy roll call and then getting to see all the friends and bosses with all their names, we then get to the credits, which is similar to that opening screen. I always thought this was kind of cool, with them slowly rotating and showing the names off. We aren't quite done yet though in DKC3. We still have the bonus area of Crematoa to complete, as well as gathering up the last banana birds, which will need to complete a few little tasks for the Brothers Bear. After the percentage screen, which you can see how long it's taken me so far with what percentage I have, and we'll be getting that quickly up to 103% soon, we jump back into the main game. It starts us off back at the castle. Before we get going to the Lost World, I'm going to stop by Swanky's tent and complete 2 rounds here, getting some bear coins, then go through the Lost World and try to gather as many as I can during it, but unfortunately I don't quite get enough, so we will have to do 2 more sets of games after that for Swanky to finally have enough bear coins to buy the mirror item. Once back onto the world map area of DKC3, we're going to head back into our vehicle, the turbo skis, and then go around the set of rocks here in a counterclockwise motion. Circling around them will get the center island to appear, which is Krematoa, and then we can enter it to start doing the bonus levels. All of the bonus coins that we've been gathering throughout the game are spent here so that we can buy dynamite charges to blast open rocks, thus giving us access to the various levels here in Krematoa. We have enough for 4 of the blast right now, but we will have to come back here briefly to pay off the final blast for the final level. The first of these levels is Stampede Sprint. 2 of the levels in this Lost World have 3 bonus rooms to complete. Thankfully, 2 of which in this area are right at the very beginning, so very easy to just find them and get them done with, and then you only have to worry about the one later on in the level. For the first one, we need to use Squitter to collect various green bananas using the web platforms to help us over the large pit. After coming out of the bonus room, use the web platforms or just throw one of the Kongs up and go into the second one of the bonus rooms. This is another grab the 15 bananas, but this time we get to be Squawks the Parrot, flying between the 2 red buzzes in this area to gather them all. It takes a fair amount to actually get all the bananas in this, but just take your time, you have enough of it, and hopefully you'll be able to survive and get that bonus coin. No matter who you end up having, you'll lose them right away before then going over to the far right and becoming Ellie the elephant. At the same time, we're also going to get Banana Bird Perry, and we need to keep Perry around as well as Ellie throughout this whole time. At the very beginning, you have the rats kind of scaring you. I always love that little animation of them. And then you get going. A lot of this is jumping at the right moments over the heads of enemies. Be careful, sometimes you don't want to jump, or you may end up causing Perry to run into a flying buzz above. While a lot of the auto-scrolling levels aren't my favorite, this one, since you get more control and it's a lot faster paced, this is actually one of my favorite levels. After the letter G, we finally come to the automatic firing barrel that calms Ellie down, and if you have parry still with you, you'll find yourself the last bonus barrel for this one, which has you with parry collecting green bananas. So 3 wonderful collect the 15 green bananas in this stage, all using a different animal buddy. Now, once out of the level, we still have the DK coin to collect. You'll get a barrel for losing Ellie the elephant, and throw that at the wall near your coin, and you'll get yourself the 36 DK coin, as well as the first of the 5 cogs needed in order to complete Crematoa. This is an interesting stage, to say the least. It has barrels constantly firing from the bottom. You'll need to use these to ride upwards and bounce off of them at the right moments to get over certain enemies, change them a time or two in order to help you blast other enemies. Bounce over the heads of the red buzzes to get into the first bonus room. Here you're collecting the green bananas while avoiding the firing TNT barrels from below. Back in the level, you'll be just to the left of the bonus room. Continue bouncing on the barrels, and then get up here to switch them over to TNT, but be sure to switch them back to steel barrels before then attempting to jump on them and head back up and continue on your pathway through this one. At the top, be sure to change it into the TNT to destroy the red buzz, and then switch it once again back. By now, you've probably gotten the hang of what's going on in this stage and what you'll need to do throughout most of it. This one's a little bit more challenging. You have to blast up, you'll automatically hit it into the TNT, and then you want to climb up the other side, watching out for the recoil enemies, and then jumping back over again before finally changing it into the steel, so you can actually safely bounce on it again. Head up quite a bit of distance, you'll see a recoil on the left, just ignore that one, and eventually you'll come to a red buzz just above you. This is where you'll want to get off and climb up, taking out the red buzz by switching them over to the TNT briefly. Keep going up, you'll come to the letter G. Climb the back and forth platforms, there's that recoil enemy on each one of them that can be a bit annoying. And then you'll come to the next open area, go over to the right, and get the DK coin by taking out coin. Be sure that you don't have TNT barrels before jumping back onto the pile. Then you'll find this small little ledge to the left, get on there, and float over to the right using Dixie Kong to make it to the next bonus barrel. Simple premise here, just bouncing on the steel barrels upwards and then using that to arc over onto the knick-knack bugs. If for some reason, once you reach the top here, the barrels aren't coming your way, you'll need to trek back down. Just drop on down the opening. You can hug the right here to avoid the red buzz. You're supposed to technically, I guess, switch that over, hit the red buzz with the TNT, but if you climb back up, the steel barrels a lot of times will just finally actually be going. So now we can safely actually continue up the next part of the level. Here we have to avoid another red buzz, climb over here, and this time switching once again to TNT barrels to take out the red buzz on the left. Make sure that you see it get taken care of before switching the barrel over back to steel, and then continuing up. The next level is filled with the Tyrant twins, Cuff and Clout. These twins kind of come at you in the same pattern. You're charging forward, or they jump, playing kind of hopscotch over one another. When you make it to this platform here, you'll see a lone banana above. You want to quickly throw Dixie upwards, and you'll be able to find yourself one of the squitter barrels. Thankfully, Squitter's web attack can actually take out a majority of the enemies, including the tyrant buddies here. We're going to use web platforms to climb up. You don't need to come up here, but doing so will get a bear coin that I desperately need at this point. Do some quick firing shots with Squitter while running through here to take out Cuff and Clout, and then the next opening, slowly start once again climbing up using the web platforms. You'll see coin over to the right side. What you need to do is use Squitter to create web platforms for the steel barrel to then roll down. It may take a little bit of practice to kind of get it exactly where you want it, but once you do, you'll take it out, and we got the 38th coin. Now, right after you deal with coin, climb on up past the enemy and drop on down the opening to find the next bonus room. Very easy bonus room, just collecting all the stars, jumping as Squitter. You have enough height to easily grab them all. Once you do so, grab the bonus coin and continue on. Right after the checkpoint marker, you'll deal with another set of Tyrant Brothers, or Cuff and Clout, and then a set of really slow-moving ones. Right after the slow-moving ones, and in between the two purple enemies here, we're going to throw Dixie upwards, in which case we'll get blasted up, and find the next bonus room. Throughout this one, you have a series of the Cuff and Clout Tyrant Buddies coming at you, and just keep jumping over each pair and make it safely to the bonus coin. Next up, I'm going to wait for Cuff and Clout to come over to the left side and float over them, and just keep on running, just a safe way to kind of get past them, being sure to grab with a DK barrel there, since I lost Kitty a little bit ago. Up here, you'll find yourself a couple more bear coins, so at least I'm trying to get that 50 there, but I won't be able to quite reach it. Drop on down, you'll find the leather G and another kind of red buzz floating here. You just kind of want to keep slowly moving until they turn around and then quickly jump over them. Do not hit the flag. Instead, go past the flag and find the bonus room. It's another collect the green bananas, this time watching out for Cuff and Clout the whole time. We now have only 2 more levels left to go. Next up is Swoopy Salvo. This one has the swooping enemies that will come down towards you. You can have some that you bounce off of, and other ones will crash into trees, becoming platforms. Early on in the level, we're going to become Squawks the Parrot. A lot of times we're going to be flying through and just have to wait for that opening between the birds when they're flying so that you'll be able to sneak past and not get hurt. When going through the tree here and taking out the green buzz, fly on down and find the first bonus room of the level. Here you immediately lose Squawks, but you'll have to just slowly keep jumping upwards and get the enemies to fly into the tree and get to the bonus coin at the top. Back in the level, you'll instantly become Squawks once again, thankfully. Fly on up in between the red buzzes, avoiding them as you go slowly through the openings. When you make it through here, fly on up, avoiding another set of birds going in between them. Right after that, you'll see another set of birds doing the same, but what we want to do is take them out and fly through the opening. Just above there is a single banana in between 2 circling red buzzes, and that's also the location of the next bonus room. For this one, it's another collect 15 bananas, but just flying as Squawks and avoiding the birds the whole time. Not too difficult, but sometimes can be annoying, and you'll accidentally get hit by one of the birds if you're too quick, just like I did there. Thankfully, though, you don't get set back too far, and if you fail a bonus room, you don't lose a life or anything. You just have to try to get back to the bonus room to try again. Thankfully, I'm able to complete the bonus room the second time around. Coming out of it, we're going to lose Squawks the parrot here, but also get the steel barrel. Be careful when you drop down that you're able to still land on top of coin, throwing the barrel to the left and getting the coin for the level. Keep moving quickly up the road, watching out for more birds along the way. You'll have to bounce off one of the birds here to get up into the automatic firing barrel. Once in the next open area, climb up these birds by bouncing off of them and find yourself the last bonus barrel of the game. It's a collect the stars ones, get Kitty, and then put Dixie on his back and just throw her up in the air and gather all the stars within the time limit to finally grab that last bonus coin. Just a little bit more in the level to go. Keep going up the road, watching out for a few birds, and then you'll have to jump up a series of them to get up the left side of this large tree. After getting up 5 jumps, eventually you'll come to the opening that you can go through to continue up. Be careful you don't fall accidentally back down below in that big open area. Use the bird here to bounce up, and then just have like 1 or 2 more small jumps before we reach the flag. Before we can go to the final level, though, we gotta go all the way back to Boomer's, pay him for the last blast, and then we finally can go all the way back through to that last stage. Rocket Rush only has a DK coin to worry about, and you get it at the end. You don't have to get any bonus levels since we used all the bonus coins to be able to access this level. This level is interesting. It starts off with you descending quickly. Every so often, you'll have a booster that flares up, slowing you down a little bit, and you need to guide the rocket slowly between the enemies. You can destroy most of them, though, making this pretty easy, at least parts of this a lot easier. Interestingly enough, in the GBA version of the game, they made this level even tougher by removing the checkpoint barrel altogether, as well as making it you can't hurt the red buzzes. The biggest threat ends up really being crashing a lot of times, coming down too hard, but even blasting upwards, which we're about to now start doing, you can actually bounce off a lot of the ceilings and be safe. It's just making sure that you make it up without running out of fuel. That's the key. If you bounce too many times or take too long, you'll run out and you'll end up losing a life that way. It's a lot of little tight areas, and making sure that you press the movement at the right time is essential to making sure that you just barely squeak by a lot of these. But if you do end up crashing a little bit, thankfully, like I said, you just bounce a bit and then can kind of keep on going. And as long as you make it to the top before you run out of fuel, you'll be safe. Once you land at the top, you'll blast out. You can go to the right to grab the steel barrel and then use it to take out the final coin enemy for the game, giving us 40 DK coins. We then get the final cog here for completing the level. Now, with the 5 cogs, we've already given 4 to Boomer. We have to give that last one to him now. This will open up the true final boss of the game. Here we battle Baron K. Rollenstein once again, but this time on his Nautilus ship here in the center of Krematoa. This is a much more challenging encounter, of course, than the boss that we already dealt with. The big mechanic for this fight is there's electricity going up above us. We need to pick up this steel barrel throughout it, but use it to actually protect us sometimes. At first, just pick it up, and when the opening does open up, throw it through and time it right so you'll be able to hit the Baron as he bypasses on the bottom. He'll then fly up to the top, which will be able to then pick up another barrel and launch that into him before he goes back to the background. Here we continue doing what we did before, this time watching out for some cannon blast, and then when the opening does arrive, throwing the barrel through at the right moment to hit him while he's in the background. He does make a bass or two, so you should have enough opportunities to deliver that hit. We're going to rinse and repeat this process a couple more times, watching out for the cannon fire and then throwing the steel barrel through the opening at that right moment to deliver damage to him. Now just do this one more time, watching out for cannon fire and throwing the barrel at the right moment to deliver that third hit during this segment, and we're moving on to the final part of this fight, and this part is a bit tricky. During this part of the fight, he's going to summon electricity from the left or right side, and we need to get it to run into the steel barrel, getting rid of all of the electricity on the field at the moment, and then we can throw it up at the Baron in order to do damage to him. We now need to hit him just 2 more times, make sure that we don't accidentally run into the electricity here. Once you get that timing down of placing the barrel back on the ground, it won't be too bad for you. Once you deliver the final hit there, though, he leaves and gives you the last DK coin for the game. Now, before we can see the true ending, it's kind of weird that they just boot you back out without really any fanfare there other than giving you the BK coin. But either way, we now have to do that little bit of cleanup. We're going to start off by going over here and completing a couple of rounds of Swanky's minigame in order to get those last couple of bear coins that we need to get the 50 and buy the mirror from the general store. There was plenty of random bear coins scattered throughout the game, so if you're a little bit more diligent or you lose a few lives to redo a couple areas, you'll probably easily have the 50 bear coins by the end. But after a lot of practicing of the game, I just found it easier to focus on beating the levels efficiently, and then I could just go back and get those last couple of bear coins if I needed to. Sometimes it takes forever for Cranky to actually lose, it feels like, during the endurance one. So that's why a lot of the times I prefer to do the head-to-head one, as I can complete it a little bit quicker, less throws at least. I also wish you could do back-to-back games, but unfortunately you have to leave and then come back in to the Swanky minigame before you're able to go again. For this last time, we're going to do another head-to-head, and once we finally get these last bear coins, thankfully head-to-head is a heck of a lot easier, usually to outmatch Cranky. Now, with all of the bear coins finally gathered up, we have 50 that we needed. We're going to head on to the general store and purchase ourselves the mirror. At this point also, we could go to Funky and get the helicopter, but I'm just going to wait till I finish the last little collecting here of the bear stuff, and then do the final islands using the helicopter. Spend the 50 bear coins over at the general store, they'll get you the mirror. Once you have the mirror, head all the way up and go to K3. Just to the left of K3 is Barter's Swap Shop. You'll notice the wrench on the counter. Give him the mirror and he'll give you the wrench. Now go past K3 and over to the right and go to the Razor Ridge, and once you go through the first chairlift, go to the second one now, and you'll be able to give him the wrench, and he'll fix that chairlift and be able to take you to the next Banana Bird Cave. Once you have this banana bird, you can head back out onto the main map area. Now we're going to head to K3. I didn't head to the Brother Bear here during my first run through since I knew I had to come back later on to do the trading stuff, so to be included in that, we're going to go right now above the Brother Bear before visiting him and complete the Banana Bird Cave located here. Sadly, this is the only time that I ended up messing up one of the Banana Bird Caves in this run. In fact, this was actually the best. Every run I had at least 2 times where I ended up failing one of these Banana Bird segments. So this run I only had the one failure, and with everything else going the way it did, that's the reason why this run was finally the one that I turned into this play it through. Visit the Brother Bear here and he will give you a present. With that present in our inventory, head back out of K3 and get back on your vehicle. Now from there, head on back down here. You'll notice a flower over to the right. That flower appears randomly after you've made it to the 3rd part of the game. Grab the flower and visit Bramble here and give him the flower, and this will get you the next Banana Bird, another free one for doing just this little bonus thing. Now, since we got that present, we're going to go ahead and deliver the present. We're going to go to Cotton Top Cove and go visit Blue. Blue's not the happiest with the present since it's a bowling ball, but this works actually really well as a cannon ball. Now head back on over to Makanos and visit Bazooka. Give him the cannon ball or bowling ball that we just got, and it'll blast us up onto that little hanging ledge thing that gets us the next Banana Bird Cave. Now at this point, we've gathered all of the banana birds in the main areas, the main levels. So we're going to go over to Funky's shack here, or Funky's Rentals, and get ourselves the helicopter, which you're rewarded with for having every one of the DK coins. With the helicopter, we can now access the final little area of the map up in the upper left corner. This whole area is now accessible. We're going to start by heading over here, dropping down on this island, and completing another banana bird cave. After you complete this cave, head straight on down from where you are and go into the next secret cave, which is located at the very south of the map. Once we leave here, we have one last banana bird to gather. The upper right corner of the map is the final hidden location of the banana birds. Once you have all of the banana birds, head back to Wrinkly's Save Cave and enjoy the true ending to Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Nintendo. So there you have it, guys. Donkey Kong Country 3. I apologize for those that may be disappointed that I didn't do 105%, that I did the 103. But honestly, I'm not sure if I would have been able to fully get the video done efficiently in the way I would have been satisfied with enough to complete this video had I kept going for the 105. But at the end, I still have 103. I'm still the top ranking on the all-time greats. The difference is, if the 105% ending is achieved, is you have Cranky there doing some Kung Fu Karate, as well as the ranking is Immortal Monkey. But other than that, there's no other difference. But with that also is the end of this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.